Call me crazy if you will, in fact you probably should, but one thing I've always found interesting about movie making is how normal everyday places can get transformed into completely new cinematic locations with a little bit of set dressing, some creative camera angles and stage smoke, or just a massive CGI budget. So I thought it might be interesting to drag my lazy arse out of the pub and up to some familiar locations that you might have seen on the big screen and take a look for myself. I mean, it's not like I'm just doing this as a cheap excuse to visit places I wanted to see anyway. And truly, what better or more convenient place to begin than my own backyard, Scotland, which it turns out has been used in quite a few movies and TV shows over the years. So let's begin, shall we? And first up, we're gonna get medieval with this shit. I'm taking you to a castle. Alright, this right here is Doune Castle. It dates all the way back to the 14th century, so it's like 700 years old at this point. The American mind cannot comprehend such things. Anyway, it'll probably be most familiar to you guys as the filming location for Winterfell from Game of Thrones, especially Season 1. You can see here how the interiors were dressed up for the show, and this is what they look like now without all the props and the set dressing. This is the main courtyard when they filled it up with mud to look suitably medieval. And this is what it actually looks like when it's just open for tourism. It was also used in Monty Python and the Holy Grail, which officially makes it awesome. It's been used in a bunch of other stuff as well, Outlaw King, and especially in Outlander, which basically made use of every castle in Scotland at this point. If you're ever inclined to visit the place yourself, it's actually a pretty interesting location that's not too far from Stirling, so it's easy enough to get to, and it's set in absolutely gorgeous scenery. You can walk all around the interior of the castle, and there's a ton of information about the history of the place and all the different productions that have filmed there. So overall, Doune Castle gets a thumbs up from the drinker. Next up, we're going to the Kingdom of Fife for some historical drama and superhero madness. Alright, this place here is the village of Culross, which is the west end of Fife. All the buildings around here are like 500 years old, which makes it the perfect place for filming period pieces, one of which is Outlander. Obviously, that's a series that's now 7 seasons in at this point. All these buildings around here will double for a 17th century Scottish village. Notice the cobbled streets there? Fucking nightmare to drive your car down, trust me. There's also this place which is known as the Palace of Culross. Seems a bit grand as far as I'm concerned, but whatever. It makes for an ideal filming location when your story's set in the 18th century. What's really weird is that this place was originally going to be used as a Norwegian fishing village for Captain America, where a Hydra tank was going to blast its way through the town and cause all kinds of shenanigans along the way. The sequence was eventually cut from the movie before it was finished, but you can easily recognise the town square where I was standing. For such a modest little village, Culross has been used in a surprising amount of productions, and since it's only like 15 miles from Edinburgh, it's not exactly difficult to get to if you fancy taking a look. Also, it turns out there's a really good pub there called the Red Lion, which the drinker definitely recommends. I like how even in the most picturesque of Scottish villages, there's always a bit of local character. Also, since I was already in Fife to film this, it would be a shame not to visit a few landmarks along the way. This big red thing behind me is the Forth Rail Bridge. It was built all the way back in 1890, which means it spans 3 centuries of Scottish history, and it's still in use today. It features in almost every film and TV adaptation of the book The 39 Steps, where the main character Richard Hannay has to bail out and make a run for it to avoid the police that are hunting him. In reality, you can't actually walk across it because of the whole getting run over by trains thing, but it is a pretty impressive sight when you're standing up close. Also, here's a not particularly fun fact for you. The bridge took 7 years to build and claimed the lives of 78 men. There's even an urban myth that at least one body was never recovered because he fell so deep into the foundations that it was impossible to reach him. I'll let you judge if that's true or not. We're taking the high road for our last stop in this little tour. Alright, we are here in not so sunny Glencoe in November, so I'm going to make this quick. You'll probably recognise this scenery from the movie Skyfall, where Bond and M stood here looking out over the scenery before they had their final battle. Now, it's meant to be Glencoe in the movie, but technically it was filmed in the neighbouring Glen Etive, mostly because there's too much tourism in Glencoe and it would have been far too disruptive. Unlike the other locations I've visited for this video, this one's a bit of a drive to get to, but I have to admit, the scenery makes it worth it. But I want to go home now, so I'm going to get out of here. Thanks for coming along with me on this pointless little adventure. I'm planning to go a bit further afield for the next video, but I think this was a good way to ease into it. And if you've got other movie locations that you reckon I should visit, then let me know and I'll see what I can do. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.